I'm not positive. Listening to the recording, I think there's a couple possibilities for what he could be doing here. The way I've always played it is like this, in the key of G. So what I'm doing is I'm starting on the 5th fret of the 5th string, and then I'm walking up from the 3rd fret, 4th fret to the 5th fret, and then resolving on the G note, 3rd fret of the 6th string. Now listening to the recording, sometimes I don't know if I hear that first note. He may just walk into it. But I think it's implied. If it's not played, it's implied that he's playing the... You can play it either way and it sounds good. Do a little of both throughout the song. And it sounds good. So that's the bass line that kicks off the song, and you hear whenever he goes to that main part again. And then he's going to do some double stop bends. I'm bouncing off the 5th fret of the 4th string, and I'm just doing a double stop on the 2nd and 3rd strings at the 5th fret, and then on the 2nd and 3rd strings of the 3rd fret. So the whole thing together sounds like this. Not too hard. And then when the song goes to the 4 chord, or the C, well, this time I am just going to walk into that. I'm just doing the same thing I did up here, but I'm walking on the 8th, 9th, and 10th frets of the 5th string, and then winding up on the 8th fret of the 6th string, which is your C. Now when you do the double stops, you can do it the same way you did it on the first time, like that, or you can throw in that major third. Once again, either one sounds good. Listening to the recordings, he's done there are a couple different versions of this song available that Freddy recorded for King Records back in the 60s, and he does a little bit of both, I think, if you listen carefully. Then back to the 1. Then for the 5 chord, he just does the same thing, but he's going to, instead of doing that walking bass, going to start on the 12th fret of the 4th string, then up to the 10th fret on the 4th string, the guitar part, the lead guitar part, doesn't have a turnaround. It just keeps going. In the background, the band, if you listen to the recordings, they do a turnaround, but Freddy just doesn't. He stays on the 1, he stays on the G. Now down here when I did this, it's just a double stop. I've got my first finger on the 10th fret of the 2nd and 3rd strings. I'm hammering on my 2nd finger onto the 3rd string at the 11th fret. It's a very common blues type thing, R&B type lick, and then my ring finger is going down as a double stop on the 2nd and 3rd strings at the 12th fret. Then I end up on that hammer on again. Winding up on the 4th fret of the 12th fret, or the 4th string at the 12th fret, like this. Do it again. Instead of going back to the root like this, just go like this. Let me play that whole first part through one time again. Same thing over again. So one more time through. And then he gets to his solo part. And the solo, he's just playing over the changes. So he might do a typical Freddie King. There's a couple different versions of the song. He never played the same thing the same way twice. Always different. Play your typical Freddie King lead guitar parts on that. A couple neat things he does on the original, or the alternate take of the song he recorded. He does, I'll just play it for you, I don't know what you call this. Something like that, where he's just going, here's my G on the first fret of the 6th, 7th, and 8th strings. Just one after another. 6, 7, 8, 6, 7, 8. That's one lick that you hear on that. Another one he does is with the bass string, the G string, 4th string at the 5th fret. He does this over the 1 chord before he changes to the 4. Into typical Freddie King. You can use all kinds of different things here. You could use a double stop for your lead parts. In G, you hear Freddie King do this a lot. You can play your lead from there. All I'm doing is taking my 1st fret. This is a G. Here's a G chord way down here on the neck. So I've got my 1st finger on the 13th fret of the 1st string and my ring finger on the 15th fret of the 2nd string. And I'm sliding into it. And then I'm going up with my 1st finger on the 12th fret of the 1st string and my 2nd finger on the 13th fret of the 2nd string. And I'm just taking that up 2 more, down 2 more frets. So the whole thing like this. Freddie uses that in the Stumble and some other tunes that he plays. That's another common Freddie King lick that you could use in the song. The other one that he does a lot when he gets over the 4 chord. So if you got to the 4, he likes to bend, big bend I call him, when you use all 4 fingers up here in the 1st position chord from the 2nd, 3rd fret down to the 6th fret. So I'm just bending. Really all 4 fingers are working up to bend that into my lead part. Now Freddie liked to do this run too. And he did that in a lot of different ways, but basically what I'm doing is anchoring my 1st finger on the 3rd fret of the 1st string, and then with my pinky I'm working my way down from the 6th fret. So it's 6th fret, 3rd fret, 5th fret on the 1st string. And then on the 5th fret of the 2nd string. Then back to the 3rd fret of the 1st string, 6th fret of the 2nd string, up to the 2nd fret or 3rd fret of the 2nd string. Listen to a lot of Freddie King stuff. You can play many different things for your solo, make something up. Be original. Trying to think anything else. Another common Freddie King lick, which he would throw in here, maybe something like this. And there I'm taking that 2-finger position. I've got my first finger on the 10th fret of the first string, got my second finger on the second string at the 11th fret. And then I'm bending the 11th, or the second finger is bending up while the first finger holds solid. And then when I walk it down, I'm going from the 13th fret, 12th fret, and that's the 11th fret of the second string to the 12th fret of the third string. Something like that. One last Freddie King lick that he does. Sometimes when he gets to the 5 chord, he'll go down like this. Something along those lines. What I'm doing is going to my G chord down here, my second position bar chord. Got my first finger on the 10th fret of the first string and my pinky down to the 11th fret, or 13th fret of the first string. Then I'm going chromatic run from the 10th, 9th, and 8th fret on the first string. And I'm back into my blues box here with the 8th fret to the 7th fret on the first string, and then on the 8th fret of the second string. Something along those lines. A lot of different stuff he could play. And then when he gets to the end, he goes back into that main lick. On one version he plays almost a solo lead part, playing that a little bit differently. Throws in an extra. Dun, dun. That on the 4 chord. And back into it. And then on the ending, this is a classic Freddie King ending. He uses this on several of his songs, including Sensation. Takes it from the 5 chord. Here's what I'm doing. It's all in that G box on the 3rd fret to the 5th fret on the 2nd string. Back to the 3rd fret. 3rd fret of the 1st string. 6th fret of the 2nd string. 3rd fret of the 2nd string. Walking from the 6th, 5th to the 3rd fret on the 3rd string. Then I'm going on the 5th fret to the 3rd fret on the 4th string. To the 5th fret on the 5th string. And then I'm taking a G 9th chord and just hitting the bass string. It's a cool Freddie King ending. Not a very exact lesson, just showing you the main ideas behind the tune Washout. This is a great